Dada Nelson Mandela. We honor Madiba today as a little bit later, President Jacob Zuma will be unveiling a 9-meter high statue, a bronze statue of Dada Nelson Mandela. It is very significant and very fitting that the statue will be unveiled on not only Reconciliation Day, but also the 100th year, actually, of the Union Building, the centenary celebration of the Union Building. So let's go back to that iconic statue of that formidable leader, Dada Nelson Mandela. And the brains behind that statue is none other than Dali Tambo, the CEO of Koketso Group, who is also one that needs very little introduction, especially to our SABC viewers. A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I must just correct you there. I'm not the brains behind it. Actually, the president is. The idea to do it came a while back from the presidency, and he asked Paul Mashatile, the Minister of Arts and Culture, to put in a statue of Madiba here. So we were designers.
So by brains, I mean you were the people who thought up what kind of statue will be there. But you rightly mentioned that it was from the presidency. About 18 months ago, I believe it was conceived. And then the Minister there of Arts and Culture haven't brought it forward. But I want to stray away from the leadership aspect and even as your role as Koketso Group and talk to you personally. As the son of Oliver and Dali Tambo, the struggle veterans, what does the statue mean to you, and how significant is it that you played a role in bringing it to pass?
It means a tremendous amount, as you can imagine. This was a lifelong friend of my parents, my uncle for so many years, and my dearest uncle, him and Walter Sisulu. So it meant a tremendous amount. When the minister asked us to do it, for me it was like the job of my life. We are doing the National Heritage Monument, which will involve 500 statues, but they're life-size. This is special because it was for Madiba as the first president of a democratic South Africa, so it symbolizes transformation, it symbolizes unity and so many things, but more importantly, it's a memorial to him. And then, of course, when he passed away, for all of us, and it took a lot of people to put this together in a short space of time, the sculptors, historians, heritage experts, all kinds of people, a big team, and of course the steering committee from Union Buildings headed by Tao Motsepe. So it was a tremendous effort already, but when he passed away, we redoubled our efforts and felt a great amount of sentiment because, you know, this is, in a sense, for many of us, not a resurrection, but a reawakening. He's rising the day after we've sent him to the ancestors. He's rising 9 meters tall.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the design of the statue. I mean, when the President and Minister Paul Mashatile approached you and said, this is what we want to do, I'd imagine they gave you a bit of a blank slate and said, you come up with the ideas of how you want it to be. It could have been with him, Madiba, with his fist in the air, or perhaps sitting down, or dancing the Madiba dance, but his arms are wide stretched open. And I said, for me, it kind of resembles Christ the Redeemer, the statue there in Brazil. Talk us through the design and why you chose this particular design.
Yes, well, as you say, there are quite a few statues of Madiba with his fist in the air. For me, for us, that represented the struggle era and represented that long march to freedom. But here at Union Buildings, he was now president of South Africa and represented national unity. And so we wanted a pose that said unity, that said reconciliation, that said come, that said father of the nation. And it wasn't our decision at the end of the day. We did a lot of consultation with the president and with the minister, and they decided at the end of the day that out of the 5 or 6 choices we gave them, thankfully this one was the one that they went for. So we were thrilled about that. Secondly, you know, his face is the most famous in the world, and so I've seen many sculptures of him, and my eyes have just sort of, done that a bit because it wasn't quite him. And I believe that the amount of time and effort we spent saying to the sculptors, do it again, refine this, refine that, calling the minister, him making his comments, his team, the steering committee, everybody put in their bit. So at the end of the day, we've got a collective design that represents, I think, some of the best eyes and which really wanted to make this this the iconic statue. It's the biggest in the world. It weighs 4.5 tons. It came in 147 pieces, and it's 9 meters tall, so it's the biggest in the world, but we wanted it to be the most cherished as well.
And you just touched on the logistics of it all. A mammoth task, 9 meter high in terms of weight, 4 tons, etc. 147 parts you had to assemble. You kept the production all local, having been made in Cape Town. Was that deliberate?
Yes, it wasn't just Cape Town. It was made at 4 different foundries around the country. And with all our sculptures, with the 48 we've done so far for the National Heritage Monument, we only use South African sculptors. We have some of the best in the world here, and the 2 that we use to do this are again 2 of the best in the world, so we're very proud of them. It's incredible the passion people put in, and I tell you, it was because it was Madiba. Everybody, from people doing little parts of the statue, patina in it and doing all this kind of stuff, the passion they put in and the talent was wonderful to see. So I hope everyone will enjoy the end result.
Thank you so much. We've run out of time, but you and I were chatting off air about the significance of the launch today. Now, remember, it was conceived about 18 months ago by the presidency. Then he gave it over to Paul Mashadile, Arts and Culture Minister, and about 6 months, I think it took to put it all together. But Dali Tambo and I chatting briefly earlier, and he mentioned to me how the timing is so significant, not only because it just so happened that Utata's passing was during this past weekend. We buried him yesterday, but also the day that today symbolizes Reconciliation Day and the history of South Africa today. Also, Union Buildings marking its centenary. So a whole lot more to discuss, and we'll be speaking to Arts and Culture Minister Paul Mashadile a little bit later to get that angle in just a moment. From Dali and I, it's back to you in studio.